kids also experienced. Obviously getting a surprise kind of activity to make here, so it's not something that they could prepare for. And with all the variables they had to play with and the problems they got, they had to come up with solutions that, some even that we may not have thought about. So there was a lot of innovation and skill from the children. As usual, it was a very tough kind of decision for the judges to, choose the 3 awardees from each category. And every year they kind of beg me to allow 5, 7, 10, 20. They're all prize winners because it's every year I notice that, there's the so-called cutoff score that we have during the evaluations for the preliminaries goes up and up and up to get the 110 or 120 people here every year, so that you can have 1.5 days of engaged work. So we have to filter out to those final number. So the quality is always very high. We enjoy looking at all these entries, and each year we find more and more interesting things. So welcome to the presentation ceremony for RYSI 2024, which always happens, the finals always happen early in the subsequent year. So here we are in the first weekend of February this year. It seems like winter has already gone, and the very short spring that Bangalore has before we are dealt with summer is upon us firmly. One of the great things about spring in Bangalore is it's a season when leaves also fall and then some new ones grow. So it happens in a very short time in this kind of deciduous kind of trees foliage that we have in this beautiful campus. So some of you must be knowing this is where Sir C.V. Raman stayed in the 40s and 50s for many years. His family is well represented on the dais. Both Dominique and Vivek are here. Vivek, as one of the trustees of the RRI Trust, is also responsible for a lot of the new things that you're seeing here in Panchavati. So whether it's this amphitheater, a couple of gazebos, there's a rock climbing facility at the back. So all these have been initiated by Vivek, who's, I've known him for since I was very small, and he and my brother went to school together and so on. And so we've known the family for a while, and so I know all the kind of things that he's done in his life, from being a designer to a bicyclist to working in organic food to running an art gallery to being a brand ambassador for this bicycle team called Specialized, and now runs Kinkini Art Gallery, does various things. Maybe he can talk about it briefly for a few minutes in some time. And then Dominique, of course, has been, his mother has been here in Bangalore for absolutely decades, married into the Raman family, of course, and stayed on the RRI campus most of her time here in Bangalore, and is actually one of the ones who's most particular about how a place is kept, how it remains in its natural setting. So almost all the RRI Trust properties you go to, whether it's the estate in Kengiri or here Panchavati or the Raman Institute campus itself, you'll always see some touches of, something that makes it special and beautiful. And Dominique has been a major part of that, since, being here for many, many decades and become one of our, proud citizens of Bangalore. We also have the director of Raman Institute, Professor Tarun Chaudhary, who's here. So 2 years back, during the Platini Jubilee of the Raman Institute and the RRI Trust, which were both founded in 1948, they had very kindly hosted the Raman Awards on the campus of RRI. So some of you who are lucky to come then would have seen what a beautiful space that is. And Professor Chaudhary had kindly invited us 2 years back to have it there on the campus of RRI. And of course, we've been back in Panchavati for the last 2 years. And that was a great occasion as well, because it was, after 2 years of being fully online during the pandemic, we were able to have it in RRI as well. So it's good to have a couple of venues. As I was saying, this place is also being developing as a new venue. Vivek is, getting lots of things going to be made here. There was a Bangalore Habba, for which this was one of the main venues. So you'll hear more and more about Panchavati, which which it surely deserves that, right? Because it's a space that not too many people, even in Malleshwaram, know about. You have to tell people, oh, I want to go to MES or Chitrapur to be able to get here. So people get lost, not being able to find this place. It's not, even though it's so beautiful and big, it's still not conspicuously marked in that way, and that's part of its charm and pleasure. So but soon you'll have, lots of art activities, some sports, science, all these things blended in here with various things happening. So it becomes one of those sought after venues in Bangalore for things. Professor Shohradeep's been in RRI for the last 2 years, and before that he was in ISER Pune, head of the physics department, as well as for many years in IUCA as well. So as an astronomer, he's known for his gravitational waves, cosmology. That's his area of expertise. We also have several judges who helped us throughout the day today. So the judging happens all day on the Sunday. So every participant gets to meet a pair of judges for 15 minutes and show their entries. So we have 3 of them here on stage who will say a few words in a few minutes, but just to list out all that have been there throughout these last few hours. So Jayant is here, Jayant Murthy is here every year. He's not missed a single RYSI, and this is the 8th year that he's here, and he's also on stage. He's retired from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, so another astronomer, and worked especially space astronomy with a lot of broad interests, and works with a lot of students in various topics. Worked at Goddard Space Flight Center in the USA for a long time. Dwarka, who's not on stage, and he had to leave slightly early, but he was here throughout, and he's here almost every year. He's actually one of the RRI retired faculty who joins us almost every time. Again, astronomer, and studied extragalactic astronomy, radio astronomy, and so on. C.V. Mallik, who is an astronomer from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, also retired and worked a lot on planetary nebulae and stellar evolution, and recently also very interested in the history of science and written a few books about that. Moushami Das, again from Indian Institute of Astrophysics, presently there, and interest in extragalactic astronomy, and gives a lot of public lectures and outreach talks for students and young professionals throughout the country. Shekhar, who's on stage here, teacher at Valley School, KFI school in Bangalore, and he's been there for a long time. He's worked in the industry, he's worked in the industry in between, and getting back to school teaching again after a few years of break there. And he's the one who's made a lot of changes in how the physics lab and the department is there, with a lot of hands-on activities, and kind of the stuff we are trying to do at ISPF or ThinkTac is also, that kind of philosophy in his teaching and thinking at the school level for children. So we hope more and more such school teachers are there in every school in India. Shrikanta Dani from the School of Arts and Sciences, also on stage, was one of the intermediate judges from Yazim Premji University, and he's studied in Sydney, where he got his PhD from Macquarie University, and he's a plant biologist. So one of our life sciences specialists here, and background in earth sciences and genetic engineering. So he comes with a lot of the experience that, especially the intermediate category who work with the body, fingers, and hands, would have come useful for them to have interacted with him today. Another teacher from the Valley School, T.N. Avinash, who was there today for the intermediate category as well. And he's also a microbiome and biotech expert. That's where his training is in, and he teaches EVS and biology at Valley School. And he's also had research experience in neurobiology in Germany and industry experience in bioinformatics as well. So comes with a broad range of interests and now gotten into school teaching very interesting activities and hands-on learning in school. There's Procheta Mallik, who was one of the senior judges. He's also been here every year that we've had this award, from the School of Arts and Sciences, Azim Premji University. His main areas of expertise has been in optical engineering, which is what he did his graduate studies in. So he's worked with, making some of the big telescopes that his University of Arizona was famous in making. So he's, tested them using various optical techniques and then worked in the industry before coming to India about 10, 12 years back and coming back and starting to teach at the Faculty of School and Arts and Sciences at Azim Premji University undergraduate program. We also had a fifth-year PhD student from Raman Institute, Kinjal Roy, who was here and did the judging as well as one of the representatives from RRI this time. And he was there 2 years back as well when we were there in RRI. And his research is mainly on reprocessing emission from X-ray binary sources. So again, studying astronomy at RRI. We had Anand Kurian, who taught school children for 15 years before joining Azim Premji University. He's interested in physics pedagogy, maths, and music, and he has great passions in conveying these to an uninitiated audience. He was also an avid enthusiast in other topics like astronomy, history, and aviation. So the juniors were lucky to interact with Anand today. He had to leave a bit early. Kaustubh Rao, also from Azim Premji University, was again here with us for the first time at the Raman Awards. He's been a science teacher at school and undergraduate level for more than 15 years. And his interest is in understanding the relationship with the natural world and how it currently works. And he currently works on documenting lakes in Anikal Taluk. So again, works very hands-on with lots of data and understanding how these water resources work and what all is ailing them, and looks at the life and the species within them. We had Vibhor, who was one of our junior judges, and he's actually one of the people who's from the IT field. He's worked in multiple companies in the IT space. But he's also worked with children for many years as a volunteer, doing hands-on activities, in his extra time at home. And he's also happened to have worked for a couple of years here at ThinkTac with us, and also in a skilling foundation, which is huge, called Anudeep Foundation as well. So Vibhor comes with a lot of industry as well as education experience. We had Shivrani from the Institute of Astrophysics. She studies mainly stellar astronomer, studying stars, and has been at IIA for many years as a dean of faculty there, and with postdoc positions before this in Montpellier and Trieste. And of course, Jayant Joshi, who's a solar astronomer who came from Indian Institute of Astrophysics today as well, and he looks at various things in this bright and yellow star that we see behind us setting. That's his specialty, to look at that and see how it works, looking at various things like solar flares, magnetic reconnection, all these very fancy terms, but all actually mean something for a researcher when they look at it. So these are the kind of folks that the children got to interact with today, and I'm happy that the judging now happens over a full day. It's more relaxed. They get more time with the children. Children get to explain their activities more and more. The things that were made today or made yesterday and shown today were quite fascinating. So for those, just a small kind of recap. So we had the juniors make this catapult model, which you'll see the measuring tapes put here as well on the stage. So they use this as their launching pad to see how far they could launch a small projectile just using ice cream sticks and a binder clip, and they had to innovate using some other materials or the same materials to get the maximum distance for different weights. So that was their challenge. The intermediate students worked on a hand model, so kind of modeling our fingers, how they bend. So they used ice cream sticks, straw, string, and so on to kind of show how these metacarpals and all that work. And they had to build kind of more unusual, weird hands, like what we can't do, like bending our fingers backwards or bending from the knuckle sideways, or using one of the fingers as a, a screwdriver or a poking thing or a knife, things that typically our fingers can't do, but they were given a challenge of trying to create as much functionality from a hand as possible. So there's a lot of, hand skeletons strewn around the place, which looked very interesting. And of course, the seniors, they worked on what looked initially like a very simple toy. It's just a bottle cap with 2 straws in the bottle cap. And when they invert a full bottle of water, water falls out from one of the straws typically. So they had to figure out which one, and then play with the length of the straws, width of the straws, etc., to try and empty that bottle as fast as possible. So their challenge was doing that, and then of course also explaining why it's happening, what are the various parameters that make a difference in that speed of water, and all those things that they were questioned and grilled on by the judges. And I hear that was a very, very, diverse group of questions were asked. All kinds of caps were found with what children did. Some were even blowing into one of them to get water out faster. So various techniques were also tried, and the judges had a good fun, but then also a tough time to figure out, which one really stood out, because they were all very expressive and got very involved in the activity. And that's true for all the categories. So before going on, I'd like each one just to say a few words, maybe the judges first, and then if Vivek and Professor Rudeep want to address the audience, then that would be very nice. Before we announce the awardees, I just wanted to obviously thank, as always, the RRI Trust, which has always been very supportive of our use of this space, as well as various other spaces. I said we were at RRI a couple of years ago, thanks to the Raman Institute itself. We've used the property at the Kengeri estate to do stargazing events. And of course, ISPF has been, based out of the back part of this building here for the last 7 years. So it's, the stuff that's happening here and what we've been able to do in schools there's a lot of silent people at the back who've allowed it to happen, and the RRI Trust is a big part of that. Thanks to all the members of the judging panel who come here every year unquestioningly and with a lot of passion. As you can see, a lot of them are retired folk, senior folk, but they still spend, a good part of 7 or 8 hours with the children with equal passion, right from the first to the last child that they meet. But most importantly, we've seen this happening year on year, that it's the children that will drive this. Not just this award, but this movement of more and more kids doing something with their hands, building things. It's a big problem in our education system. It always has been that we are not doing enough in terms of hands-on activities. But if the children drive that movement, then it'll be much more, it will actually become a movement in this country. And we've seen, there are some schools where there are 1 or 2, what we call ambassadors, who are working, and they create a lot of children in that space who make a lot of activities. And we are seeing more and more of such schools and children who come here year on year. So we hope both the number of schools as well as the number of children from those schools more and more participate. Then this can even spread as a movement to have, more regional awards or more regional kind of events where, you can have it in various zones and it won't only, be in one place and so on. So try and get this, this spark and this wonder of not only science, but anything that you like or you study, to do it, in a fun and engaging way. And of course, for parents to continue that support of children, don't worry about the end outcome of what they will achieve with that. Just the process of doing it itself is the achievement, the joy, and the pleasure. So I hope more and more children explore things deeply, go into it. Don't worry about am I going to win or not. That's not important. It's the journey that is the real fun part. Okay. There's also, of course, apart from the parents and children, there's my team that I would like to thank. ISPF and ThinkTac works year-round in allowing this event to happen. You see, in fact, it's also one of the events because we have now people based all over the country. So even here we have folks from Mysore and Bangalore, and even from one gentleman from Ujire who's come here to help with the event here. But we have people from all over the country. For example, this was the first year that the Raman Awards actually had phone support. You could call someone and talk to someone. We've not had that before. It's been WhatsApp messaging and email. So Purvi Thakur, who's based in Pune, a lot of the parents and children would have interacted directly with her, and she was the one responding to your calls, responding to all your questions and queries that you had throughout the year. So a big hand and shout out to her as well for making it easier and hopefully more interactive and customer friendly for the participants. Of course, there's a lot of the platform that you've used, it keeps changing a little bit every year. So our IT team works at the back end tirelessly to make that as seamless a procedure as possible. The evaluations happen anonymously, and they go to the different judges randomly. The various entries online, so all that kind of happens very, very smoothly at the back end. So we thank our IT team for that to happen, and of course all those who you saw today volunteering as part of the Raman Awards, they all are part of the ISPF and ThinkTac teams. Working with school children and in various schools, or in creating activities, hands-on activities that are there in these boxes that some of you will get, and a lot of you have played with them and did so over the last couple of days as well. Those are all created by a lot of creative people within our team, and of course there's a lot of content and all that around that goes to children and students. So a big thanks from my entire team for making all this a holistic experience for the children and for science and maths education in general that happens especially in the schools that we work with.